there were some scheduled improvements that were going to get made to Nelson Wolf that we didn't do because it changed and they weren't going to satisfy the MLB requirements. So we repurposed those dollars that had been set aside for that into these intersection improvements. That's my best recollection. I will confirm that.
Okay, thanks. On the CVA, on the slide, when you talk about 200K, is that actual money, or is that 200K worth of something that's donated to folks? The foundation piece.
I think that's $200,000 of cash going into that foundation. Is that correct? Are going out of the foundation to support these
Okay, so
initiatives.
it's not like 200K worth of in-kind stuff, right? It's like cash money.
It's $200,000 of cash in the foundation that is being dispersed to
Okay.
Groups that support children and homeless veterans issues.
Okay, thanks. Great. I do want to echo my colleague's support for our colleague, Councilman Rick Galvan, who has already done a good job in engaging his community to understand what they would like to see, irrespective of what committee looks at it. It needs to be guided by what Councilman Galvan and his community indicates is most important to them. I also want to foot stomp the point that Councilman Munguia made, which is, if we're going to have these public discussions about what we're doing and how we're spending people's money, right, and their resources, we don't want to, what's the technical term, gaslight people. Right? We want to be true to what a normal person would expect when reading something. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I think, when folks watch this or they see some segment, right, on KSAT or what have you, and then they hear that, they're going to call Councilman Munguia or they're going to call any one of these council members and say, what are you talking about, right? Like, that didn't make any sense. So want to be sensitive to how this is explained to folks moving forward. Thank you. Last thing, actually, you said there was an updated cost already, an updated cost estimate for the, what were you talking about then?
So the ballpark, we talked about the ballpark project
Yes.
piece. So they're working on design, they're working on updating cost estimates.
Okay.
Some of the early indications look like it may be outside of the estimate we were talking about before, but it's not far enough along where I could share anything at this point in time. We'll continue to work with them. When we get to that point, we'll certainly provide that update to you.
Okay. Because if I understand, you're going to have to help us understand what is a cost overrun versus what's an exceeded or a higher than anticipated estimate, right? Because if I remember correctly, any cost overruns, it says team is responsible for construction cost overruns, but per the term sheet, that's actually reimbursed from surplus revenues, right?
No, there's two different things there. So one is, in this case, in this term sheet, the team is responsible for cost overruns once we get to a guaranteed maximum price. We're not there yet. They've got to do more design before we get to that point. So again, as they kind of go through their estimating design, looking at different options and scenarios, when we get to that point, we'll share that. They don't get, and once we set the GMP, if there's an overage at that point, that's theirs. There's no reimbursement. I think the reimbursement you may be referring to is in some cases, if the taxable value and the development off of phases 1 and 2 don't generate the property tax increment and the municipal management district revenues, in some cases, if they pay, they can get reimbursed, but not in all cases. It has to be something outside of their control. If it's within their control, they have to eat it, they don't get reimbursed. But that's more on the guarantee side, not the project budget side.
Okay. But do help us understand what is a change in estimate of the work versus what would be considered a cost overrun.
Sure, happy
Okay.
to do that.
Just a couple things left here. The team is leading the bond feasibility study or the baseball feasibility study.
The team is going to engage the consultant. We will be heavily involved, and it'll include our input. Again, that consultant report and analysis is going to look at the Houston Street TERS, which we have all of that data. We'll be working closely with that consultant, reviewing all of the data, all of the assumptions. Ultimately, we will be the staff working with the team's advisor to develop the bond offering document to include incorporation of that feasibility report. So I'm comfortable that we are going to be heavily involved, and it'll get to the quality that we're looking for.
And I want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said the LGC will approve the bond?
So there's going to be a couple of things. The council will have to take action, the county, and also the LGC.
Okay.
The LGC, one scenario could be that we put together a bond offering where the local government corporation is the entity issuing the bonds. It's still supported by all the agreements and all the things we put in place. We could, based on financial market conditions, if it makes sense to do it, we could go through a conduit issuer. We've done this on other things. A conduit issuer's, I'll describe it, kind of an entity that just issues debt, and there may be some value to just doing that. And in that case, the LGC will just consent to issuing through that entity. But either way, everything that supports the repayment of bonds, the pledge of the security for the bonds, everything is the same, and it'll all be based on the definitive agreements that you all consider as the council.
Okay. I wanted to understand that, the piece in terms of who would issue the bond, because on your previous slide, the LGC has no assets, right? So
Right.
that would be backed up by,
All of the documents, all of the agreements, and everything that's put in place, yes.
got it. Okay. Maybe that, Ben, for you or for Andy, this is actually across the two topics. Are there any outstanding bills due to the city from either the missions or the Spurs?
So nothing that I'm aware of from the missions. I'm looking at, I don't think there's anything due from the missions.
We could double check on the Wolf Stadium agreement, Mayor. Yeah.
Okay. And you said nothing from the Spurs?
So on the Spurs side, there is and I'm not going to be completely up to speed on this piece of it, but essentially when we did the soccer stadium agreement, there were some requirements in that agreement that the Spurs were to bring or acquire a MLS, Major League Soccer team, within a certain time frame.
Okay.
That did not occur, and there were, what's the right word? I don't know if it's additional rent or additional payments that would become due. That piece is unresolved and something we need to work through.
It's incremental rent, Mayor, from the lease agreement for the stadium.
Okay. Do we have an understanding of what the value of that is?
It's approximately what?
About $2 million is what I understand, is that correct?
$2 million, okay.
And I think that's combined to the PFC that oversees the stadium, so it's not really to us or to the county, it's back to the PFC that we use to acquire that. So it would be a payment, not to the county, to the city, but into the PFC.
Yeah, because there's we could do a one-pager for you all also, Mayor. It's either a PFC or an LGC that was created by the city and the
PFC,
county
isn't it?
Okay,
when they jointly purchased the soccer stadium
okay.
in anticipation of an MLS.
Is your mic on, sir?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. So when the city and the county purchased the stadium, like in 2012 or 2013 or 2014, and so there was it's either PFC or an LGC that was created, much like we were talking about for the baseball. The real purpose of the long-term purpose of the LGC is to oversee a publicly owned asset and make sure that everybody's maintaining it. So we have that out there with the county out at the soccer field in D10. And so the payments of lease or revenue go to maintaining or improving the facility. So there is an outstanding credit because, as Andy said, there was a time frame beyond the original loss of we didn't get the MLS team, It went to Austin, in fact. There was an obligation to try to secure, the Spurs are supposed to secure another MLS team, and when that didn't happen, then there was an incremental increase in the rent. So that is an outstanding issue that we need to resolve.
$2 million, you said, ish? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, appreciate just a quick one-pager on how we're going to resolve that. Okay. Okay, great. Appreciate the patience here and getting everybody up to speed, rather, as we all weren't around when some of these things were negotiated. But now we are certainly all going to be responsible and accountable to people to make sure that these investments reflect the best ROI for our community. So thank you. It is 5:42 and this meeting is adjourned.